enthused and encouraged by the reception that we've had, by the opportunity to meet so many important people, and by the opportunity to talk to everybody about the situation in Cleveland, their views on Ireland, and in particular their reflections on our own native county, County Mayo. First of all, Ambassador Collins and Consul General, President of the Society, let me say that I want you to recognise the Mayor of Mayo, Cyril Bork, and the Manager, Peter Hines. We have a number of councillors there, Councillor Austin Francis O'Malley, Councillor Gavin, and I think there's a third. Anyway, think of it. I just want to say that the links actually between our two counties are extraordinary. It's only when you have the opportunity to come as head of government that you reflect on that in a different way. So, the first principle, I thank everybody for what they've done for our organisations, both the Industrial Development Authority in terms of business here in Cleveland and Cuyahoga and the greater area, in their interest in Ireland, but also the reaction to the efforts made by our own Enterprise Board, Enterprise Ireland, in dealing with firms from Ireland that wish to export here to the United States. Thank you for that. So, I'm delighted to be here because we're among family, not just among friends. Mayo men and Mayo women whose lineage and stories and songs go back not just for decades, but for generations and indeed for a century and a half. When your people, our people, stepped off those emigrant boats, they were stepping not alone into another country, but into another world, another life. They came here in very different times, with their most fragile, precious possessions of all. They were buried in among the few bits and pieces in their luggage, the crucifix, the cousin or the siblings or the pal's address, a handful of earth from home that they brought from home. And those precious and fragile possessions were their hopes and were their dreams, because our country has always hoped and has always dreamed. But what's more, it gave them the mandate to roll up their sleeves, put down the head, put in the graft. Our people, you, did that here over the years, and today our people at home do the same thing in the circumstances in which we find ourselves in 2012. We do that because we are Irish, we are united in our courage, in our talent, in our faith, and indeed in our tenacity. And above all, because of the love of our country. Ireland endures. Ireland has always endured. It's never the finished product. It is always becoming. And in the last few years, God knows, we've had our fair share of dark clouds. But even the worst of those has a silver lining, because these events have stirred in our own hearts the idea that we are active citizens of a republic, and that times of difficulty have always brought out the best in the Irish, the capacity to deal with and challenge and beat adversity, and the understanding that we, when we stand together, each in the shade of each other, never in the shadow of each other, and all over Ireland, communities are rekindling that element of true belief and faith and understanding. It is no more than it began in Achill, the spirit of the Mehel. As we saw here a while ago, it is together that the people make the difference in pursuit of a common objective. And that Mehel concept has gone beyond the shores of our country. other lands and other continents. And that rich diaspora, a diaspora of 70 million people, are the diamond men and women of Ireland all over the world. Their help, their concern, their support is by any standards quite extraordinary. And what I've learned here in these 2 days, both from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia and here in Cleveland, is that the Irish diaspora are more than willing to put their shoulders to the wheel in the context of Ireland and its fortunes. And tonight I thank you for that, because your spirit and your influence has been quite a Yesterday I had the privilege of speaking at the City Club of Cleveland. I referred to Thomas Campbell from Enniskillen, who was an author, community leader and an academic. He served as president of the City Club and was instrumental in its opening its doors to women and their participation in the life of this city. Thomas Campbell founded the American Archive Society and was deeply involved in the Irish-American community of Cleveland. People like him are representative of the strong historic links between Cleveland and Ireland that live to this very moment. Today, I had the opportunity to belong to the Irish Cultural Garden, so important as a place of peace, as a place of reflection, so important in its revival by Sheila and by Ed Crawford, by the Ladies Association of the Ancient Order of Hibernians, by the Garden Club and what they've done. The magnificent oak tree which stands there since 1939, the installation of the Lennon Fountain, the repair of that garden, the shape of the Celtic cross, and the honouring that it does of our great poets, the writers, who are sculptors of words in the English language, making such an impact on the literary culture, both of the English language and the influence of Ireland around the world. I thank you, Ed, and your people for what you've done in that regard. And as a treat for myself, sure didn't he plant a tree down there as well? It's near the fountain. It's going to be the mightiest crabapple tree that ever grows up. I hope that when I come back, that the soil underneath it will have proven to be beneficial in its nutrients, and that tree will grow tall and straight into the light. So, as one woman said to me this evening, when we came here in the first instance, these streets were not paved with gold, because where they came from, they knew what work was, and where they came to, they were not afraid of that work. Cleveland proved to be good for the Irish, and in time, the Irish proved to be good for Cleveland, because those who were concerned and anxious and afraid as emigrants from Ireland, as immigrants to America, came in time to be strong and confident workers who played their part in the development of this county, of this city, and of this state. They educated their children to become workers, teachers, doctors, members of the police, the fire services, labour leaders, involved in trade unions, in public and political life, right up to the highest level. Many of those who came here first spoke only the Gaelic tongue because they left an area where they'd never learned to speak English. Our emigrants, America's immigrants, worked long and worked hard. And the people who made it, who settled in America, didn't just build the American economy. They kept families and communities together with their personal and their love and the hope that they sent home. I feel this because we owe those generations an enormous debt for the financial contribution that they made to a fledgling state in Ireland as it found its feet in the early days of economic difficulty and its striving towards independence. We also owe this country, the United States, an enormous debt for allowing them the opportunity and the freedom to make that contribution. See, for many, the American wake became the American dream. Others were less fortunate, and I've had opportunities to visit those who helped them. Boston and Chicago, New York, Philadelphia and others. Those communities, assisted by Irish governments over the years, do great work in supporting those unfortunate enough to have fallen in difficult times. In that sense, I want you to understand the Irish-American relationship is more than one of friendship, it's one of real family. There are no few countries in the world have the bonds that link Ireland and the United States. And as we know, when families stick together, when they understand the nature of the challenge that they face, they will always overcome that. The same applies in the case of our country. I was elected Taoiseach just over 18 months ago. We lost 250,000 jobs in the private sector. Money was hemorrhaging from banks. There was a complete lack of confidence and trust in Ireland and where we were headed. It meant we had to rebuild all of that. It takes a lot of hard graft, a lot of face-to-face discussions, but also a lot of examples and a demonstration of seriousness about rectifying a country that could perform so much better, and that I know at its heart will achieve the greatness that we have in store for it in the time ahead.